Hello, my name is Keith Karnes. I'm the forest manager for the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe in northern Minnesota. I'm here today to talk about a little how forest management and wildlife habitat is done on tribal lands. I should preface this with the idea that every government, every tribal government, every reservation in Minnesota, they do things differently. So I'm going to touch on some of the major, some of the likenesses that some of these tribal forest managers do. I would say the primary purpose in tribal forest management is ecologic restoration. We often have tribal individuals that want things put back the way they were pre-settlement times. We realize that that's impossible, but we can certainly put things on a different trajectory towards that. I believe in the idea that forest management is a three-legged stool. It needs to have a balance of ecology, economics, and societal needs. And with tribal forestry, where these are homelands, societal needs play a very larger part than they do, I believe, in other agencies. Tribes as a whole, they look at the forest much more holistically. It's not looked at as just money on a stump. There's a number of resources out there that have been traditionally and culturally gathered. They look at the large super canopy trees like these are elders that they're related to. The stories have come down through the generations about how tribal members, they don't live in the forest. They are the forest. They are the wildlife. These are all one family and they're all together. Everything has its part. They're the fruiting shrubs that were gathered, the medicines that were gathered. And realizing that this is traditional ecological knowledge, and in today's world, we need to blend that with the best available science to make things work in today's world. So doing that, the first place I generally start is dealing with the native plant communities. The classification that's put out by the Minnesota DNR, it's extremely top shelf in the country, and it's a good guide on how to start changing that trajectory of the forest. You know, we often look at that, and that's where we get our start. You know, we start to push it in a direction. Is it fire dependent? Is it music? We try to decrease the abundance of aspen acreage, realizing, however, that even in pre-settlement times, there was old aspen, there was young aspen. It ran a full course of age and species. All these forests did. In today's day and age, we try to take into account climate change. We realize we have accepted that that is a reality, and it's changing exponentially as far as the forest is concerned. So we need to start looking at our native plant communities and how are the climatologists saying this is going to change. So we need to change accordingly. Some of the things I find when I'm doing my forest management duties is to first and foremost to be honest and earnest with other departments. I don't want our wildlife department, for example, feeling like all they can do is carve out a little area where they can say, don't do anything here. I want to work with them. I want them to feel like they've genuinely been listened to. And how can we make the whole forest fit for this kind of wildlife if the forest native plant community fits that situation? That is a huge push for me. I do that for wildlife. I do that for botany. And the whole idea that you got to try and find balance, that's what fits in with that tribal ideology. Everything gets included. We want to mimic our timber sales to suit climate change, to suit the natural disturbances that happened. Now we can't have a forest fire in today's day and age. So perhaps that's where we do a jack pine harvest. We pretend that the jack pine burnt up and we harvest it. The aspen, we can harvest aspen, but not to do it along property lines, not to do straight lines, but to do it how maybe a straight line wind event would have occurred. as these wind events are increasing with climate change. So that's how we manage our forests. And it does touch much more to home societally, because people need to realize that tribal forests, they're not just a job that people go to. Tribal forests are homelands. They're traditional homelands, and they're still homelands. Thank you.